The doctor lowered his voice before he said it. Not because the hallway was loud, but because once the words left his mouth, there was no taking them back. If she makes it to Valentine's Day, he said, eyes dropping to the floor, it'll be a miracle. Elena nodded. She didn't cry. Crying felt like something people did when there was still time. 3 hours later, she stood outside a glass tower that scraped the sky, watching reflections of herself flicker across the polished surface. Her coat was wrinkled from sleeping in a hospice chair. A hospital bracelet still circled her wrist. She'd forgotten to take it off. When the billionaire stepped out, surrounded by quiet efficiency and moving too fast for anyone to interrupt, Elena didn't raise her voice. She didn't touch him. She just said it. Please be my dying twin sister's Valentine. He stopped, slowly turned, looked at her like he was measuring the damage this conversation might do. No, he said, and kept walking. Elena and Mara Cross had shared everything since before they were born. Premature twins, they'd spent their first weeks in the same incubator, their mother joking that they learned how to survive by listening to each other breathe. Their father died when they were 10. Heart attack on a night shift job that promised overtime and delivered nothing else. Their mother never really recovered. She worked. She showed up. But the twins learned early that if one of them fell, the other had to stand twice as strong. They were identical in the ways that mattered. Same crooked smile. Same birthmark behind the left ear. Same instinct to reach for each other without looking. 2 years ago, Mara started forgetting words. Fork instead of spoon. Elena's name replaced with an old childhood nickname. The headaches came next. Then the collapse on a bus ride home that ended with flashing lights, and an MRI that glowed like a warning flare. Glioblastoma. Stage 4. Aggressive. Inoperable. The doctor spoke gently. Survival rates. Treatment options. Months. Mara didn't ask if she was going to die. She asked how fast. Elena quit her job the same day. She never told Mara. Bills stacked up. Friends drifted away. Elena learned how to sound calm while scheduling chemo, and how to fall apart silently in bathroom stalls. At night, they slept in the same bed like they had as kids. Elena counting Mara's breaths because sometimes, in the dark, Mara forgot to breathe. One evening, as snow pressed softly against the hospice window, Mara said, "I don't want my last memory to be a nurse checking a chart." The room smelled like antiseptic, and the faint sweetness of overripe flowers someone had brought 3 days ago. Outside, car horns blared through slush-covered streets. Elena squeezed her hand. "I don't want to be brave," Mara whispered. "I just want one moment where someone chooses me. Not because I'm sick. Because I matter." That night, Elena cried in the stairwell until her legs gave out. The concrete was cold beneath her. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. By morning, she had a deadline and no plan. Valentine's Day. Julian Hale had built his life on distance. From people. From stories. From anything that might crack open what he'd sealed shut years ago. The press called him cold, calculated, untouchable. They didn't know about the hospital room from his past. About the sister who'd died at 19 from leukemia. About the Valentine's Day he'd spent holding her hand, promising he'd be back in 5 minutes, and returning too late. He never attended charity events involving terminal patients. Ever. So when the woman outside his building said that sentence, when she said her sister was dying, it wasn't cruelty that made him say no. It was fear. He told himself to forget her. He told himself he'd done the right thing. But that night he didn't sleep. He sat in his penthouse staring at the city lights blurring into constellations he couldn't name. The ice in his untouched drink had long since melted. One sentence kept replaying. "Please be my dying twin sister's Valentine." He remembered his own sister asking him to stay. Just 5 more minutes. He remembered the elevator ride down to get her favorite coffee. He remembered the call that came while he was still in line. The next morning, he returned to the hospice. The building smelled like boiled vegetables and bleach. The linoleum squeaked under Julian's shoes. Room 408 was at the end of a hallway painted the color of old Band-Aids. Mara studied him when he entered. Her hair had thinned, but her eyes were sharp. "You don't look like a Valentine," she said. "Neither do you," he replied gently. She laughed, soft, surprised. And for a moment the room felt lighter than it had any right to. It was a real laugh, the kind that crinkled the corners of her eyes. They didn't talk about money or death. They talked about small things. Bad hospital coffee that tasted like cardboard. The sound the elevator made at night. A mechanical groan like it was giving up. Childhood memories Mara couldn't finish without Elena quietly filling in the end. Julian watched the way Elena anticipated Mara's needs, the way Mara leaned into her sister when she got tired. When 30 minutes passed, Julian stood to leave. "Will you come back tomorrow?" Mara asked. Julian hesitated, then nodded. He kept coming. Not every day. Just enough that Mara began saving energy for when he arrived. They played cards, gin rummy, which Mara won more often than Julian liked to admit. They shared silence that didn't need filling. Julian listened like someone trying to make up for something. Mara noticed. "Why are you really here?" she asked him one afternoon. He could have lied. Instead, he said, "Because I lost someone. And I didn't show up enough." "I can tell," Mara said. "You listen like someone carrying guilt." She reached across the blanket and touched his hand. Her fingers were cold and thin. "You can put it down, you know. It gets heavy." On Valentine's Day, Julian brought no roses. Just a letter. Handwritten on heavy cream paper that felt expensive between Mara's fingers. She read it slowly, lips trembling. The letter didn't say much. It said she mattered. It said meeting her had reminded him what showing up meant. It said she'd given him something he didn't know he needed, a second chance to get it right. When she finished, she looked at him and said, "You chose me." "Yes," Julian said. That night, she slept holding the letter to her chest. The paper crinkled softly every time she breathed. It was the last night she spoke clearly. She died at dawn 4 days later. Quietly. No dramatic moment. Just a breath released after a long hold. The machines beeped once, then went silent. Elena was holding one hand. Julian was holding the other. The funeral was small. No press. Julian stood in the back, unrecognized. Afterward, he didn't follow Elena to the reception. Some goodbyes don't need witnesses. 3 months passed. Elena found herself walking toward the glass tower again. She didn't plan it. Her feet just carried her there during a lunch break from the new job she'd finally started. Julian was in the lobby. He looked up when she entered, like he'd been expecting her. They sat on a bench outside. The spring air smelled like rain and exhaust fumes. People rushed past them, late for meetings that would feel important until they weren't. "Thank you," Elena said, "for staying. I should have come sooner. The first time you asked. You came when you were ready. That's what mattered." A pigeon landed near their feet, pecking at a discarded sandwich crust. Julian watched it for a moment. "Does it get easier?" "No," Elena said. "But you get better at carrying it." She stood, extended her hand. Julian shook it, formal, final. "She knew you showed up," Elena said. That's what she needed. Someone who chose to stay when they could have left. Julian nodded. He watched her walk away, her coat catching the wind at the corner before she disappeared into the crowd. He sat there for a long time after she was gone. The letter he'd written to Mara was still in his desk drawer at home. He'd written dozens of drafts before settling on the one he gave her. None of them said what he really meant, that her sister's love had been the kind that made you believe in people again. That watching Mara fight had reminded him why his sister had asked him to stay, even when staying hurt. But some things don't need to be said out loud. Julian stood, walked back into his building, returned to the life he'd built on distance. But now, when terminal illness charities sent requests, he didn't throw them away. He showed up.